Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tennessee with the Citizens Campaign Against Big Lick Animal Cruelty, COPLOC, it's known as. Also, I'm publisher of BillyGoBoy.com website publication. We've had over 1,400 articles in the last 7 or 8 years. We've had well over 1 million views. I'm here again at the Tennessee Walking Horse National Celebration. We did a podcast yesterday and we told you we would not leave Shelbyville, Tennessee till we had some answers on the issue of Mr. Jackie McConnell sitting on the first row next to Ringside at the Tennessee Walking Horse Celebration last Friday night. We've dug in on that subject and we've got some answers for you. We have communicated with Mr. Warren Wells. He's the new CEO here at the celebration. He was hired 2 or 3 months ago. He doesn't have a lot of time in. He's a decent gentleman, and he's been forthcoming with some of the answers to the questions that we have. I'm holding in my hand, by the way, this is last year's World Grand Champion Tennessee Walking Horse. This horse died within 30 days of the celebration last year. It's not uncommon for horses to meet an untimely end in this competition. Another horse had a bloody nose at the celebration last year, and he died at the first part of this July. There's another horse in the competition last year, and he suffered a crippling injury, and he no longer will ever be shown again. These were all big-time name trainers, big-time horses, big-time owners. We met today also and had some discussions with some celebration officials. They think this beautiful facility here, this walking horse celebration, can attract equine shows of other breeds and still have the stigma of animal cruelty hanging over it. My thought process is this isn't going anywhere until the animal cruelty to Big Lick Tennessee walking horses is eliminated. And right now, it has not been eliminated. So let me proceed on with the issue concerning Mr. McConnell. Mr. McConnell was a subject of ABC Nightline video. He was become the poster child of the Big Lick animal cruelty. He was torturing horses with a cattle prod, hitting them in the head. He was supervising the fixing of them, applying chemicals to their pasterns, that's the skin above their hooves, and wrapping them in saran wrap, baking it in to make them extremely sensitive, sore if you will, and then they ride them with chains, hitting that sensitive skin, and they lift their feet high. That's the Big Lick. Mr. Jackie McConnell was in the Hall of Fame here. He won the celebration numerous times. He was a celebrity. Okay, this all went down in 2012. After Mr. McConnell was the subject of ABC Nightline, the University of Tennessee says you can never, ever bring this Big Lick World Grand Champion back up here. And the horse has been banned ever since then. This would have been this horse, if he had lived, if this ban had not put in place, he would have been shown at the University of Tennessee before 110,000 people. But on to Mr. McConnell. We told you we'd have answers before we left this town. We've got the answers. Let me share with you. Emailed Mr. Wells and we got a response. If I can get my phone straight. This is the statement of the celebration. Jackie McConnell remains suspended from owning, training, or showing any horse at the celebration or any celebration-sponsored event. In addition, McConnell remains removed from the Hall of Fame and is banned from being in the barn area, warm-up area, or anywhere other than spectating in the seating area. The USDA order against McConnell prohibits him from having anything whatsoever to do with a horse show other than being a spectator, and the celebration is in full compliance with this policy with not only McConnell, but any other violator of the HPA during their suspension. He was previously banned from entering upon completion of all his terms of his sentence. He is allowed to be a spectator only. Spectator only. This is in line with USDA guidelines. Well, we did some checking. And when I received this response, I asked some questions this morning of Mr. Wells, and he replied. One question is, am I correct that Jackie McConnell's being present at the at the celebration event is solely within the discretion of the celebration's board of directors? Mr. Wells' answer was yes. He said it as a spectator, it is under their discretion. In other words, there's 7 directors here at this celebration, and they gave approval for Mr. McConnell to be present as a spectator. Then I asked the question, did the celebration directors officially rescind number 1? Number 1 was where Mr. McConnell could never again enter the grounds for any event here. Couldn't come on the grounds. That's what's behind me. And further, did the celebration directors approve Mr. McConnell entering the grounds to attend an event? If so, when did the board take this action? And Mr. Wells' answer was yes, they did rescind. In other words, they threw out the banning Mr. McConnell. They allowed him to come back on the grounds for an event. And when did the board take this action? And Mr. Wells' answer was 2019. This is not public knowledge. It wasn't discovered until BillyGoBoy.com broke the story with a picture of Mr. McConnell. The world has reacted. So far, there's been 1,800 Facebook shares of the article, and media is looking into it and may do a story. It's extremely concerning that the celebration allegedly wants to get away from big lick animal cruelty and puts the #1 horse torturer of all time on the first row of the celebration to watch horses that similar to the ones he used to show and torture out there for everyone to see. It's just mind-boggling. But here's the problem past that. Mr. McConnell is not just a spectator. The Ribbon Yearbook edition for this year's celebration. In this book, it has all the classes, all the horse entered, and many ads. This is a beautiful publication. On last Thursday night, in the 3-year-old World Grand Championship, if you go look at this program here, 3-year-old Walking Horses World Grand Championship Riders Cup, they list the premier sponsors, and it gets down to trophies, okay? And the trophy, here's a trophy. The Odell McConnell Memorial Challenge Trophy is donated by the Jimmy McConnell family, Shelbyville, Tennessee, and the Jackie McConnell family, Collierville, Tennessee. Folks, that's not a spectator. That's participation. That's a sponsoring in this horse show. That's a donation. The trophy was donated, and Mr. Jackie McConnell is ringside, and he's still participating. This is egregious. This is shock. And the world needs to react. The world needs to let the celebration know there needs to be an outrage within the entire United States and around the world that the Tennessee Walking Horse National Celebration would have Mr. Jackie McConnell come back to be at the front row in the center of attention, donating a trophy, Memorial Challenge trophy, at this event. This is in violation, I believe, of the order that they reference concerning can only be a spectator. Folks, this ain't right. We got to do something about it. We'll give you further information and suggestions. And one more thing, this beautiful facility behind me can never welcome any equine events as long as it has the stigma of animal cruelty surrounding it. You can't have it both ways. You can either get rid of the animal cruelty and work to be readmitted into the equine world, or you can be ostracized and banned from it. Right now, the Tennessee Walking Horse is not accepted by the American Horse Council. There's so many places it cannot go. The United States Equestrian Federation bans all big lick Tennessee walking horses. The whole world is against this except these folks right here, these 7 directors that brought Mr. McConnell back into this. So we're going to stay the course. You stay with us. We're the Citizens Campaign, and we're BillyGoBoy.com publication. We're going to bring you the facts. Be with us, stay with us, help us, support us.